Okay, the second thing we can do to lower our 2024 tax bill is to contribute to an HSA, otherwise known as a health savings account. HSAs are similar to IRAs in that you have until tax filing deadline to make a prior year contribution, and contributions are deductible from your taxable income. Now, this one comes with a major caveat. You have to be enrolled in a high deductible healthcare plan in order to open and fund an HSA. Luckily, more employers are now giving this as an option to their employees. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 51% of private industry workers who participated in medical care plans in 2023 had a high deductible health plan option, compared to only 33% in 2014. For 2024, the contribution limits are $4,150 for single coverage, $8,300 for family coverage, and an extra $1,000 for those 55 and older. Now, before you go making any major changes to your healthcare coverage, let's go over a few pros and cons to high deductible health plans and HSAs. The pros of having a high deductible plan are lower monthly premiums and being able to contribute money tax-free into an HSA. HSAs are an amazing investing tool because you can actually invest some of that money, usually any balance over $1,000, into the stock market. Funds that are contributed into an HSA are tax deductible, and then any growth you receive is tax-free, and all qualified withdrawals are tax-free as well. Now, you can utilize funds from your HSA on a multitude of different health initiatives. The obvious heavy hitters here are healthcare visits, hospital stays, and dental procedures, but there are so many other things that are covered as well. Things like therapy, acupuncture, weight loss programs, braces, LASIK eye surgery, which I did, glasses, prescriptions, all of that is covered. Now, generally, if you are a younger, healthier individual that is not expecting to have any expensive procedures done and you would like another avenue to put away money tax-free, a high deductible health plan may be a good option. Let's look at a quick example at how contributing to an HSA at a young age can really set you up for long-term financial success, at least in terms of healthcare expenses. If you get a job right out of college at 22 and decide that instead of paying $200 a month for a fancy healthcare plan, you would rather pay $50 a month for the high deductible plan and then put that extra $150 away into an HSA account, you would have $1,800 by the time you're 23. Let's step it up a notch. Let's say you buckle down and decide to put the maximum $4,150 into your HSA every year. You decide to keep that $1,800 in cash, but all of the extra money you put away will be invested in an index S&P 500 fund, which averages a 10% annual return. If you were able to keep this up for another 10 years until you hit age 33, you would have roughly $66,140 invested in your health savings account. And that's not including the $1,800 in cash you kept aside in case of expenses. At this point, you are in your early 30s and you may decide to switch from a high deductible plan over to a fancier, more expensive plan that has a lower deductible and will cover more health expenses as you get older. As long as you keep that money invested and you are not withdrawing more than your return, in this case 10% annually, which amounts to a little over $6,000, your HSA will theoretically never run out of money. What's more, if you consistently year over year take out less than what you are earning in interest, you will find yourself with a nice little pile of money by the time you retire at around age 65. While this all sounds nice and dandy, there's a huge but. But what if you experience a big, unexpected, expensive medical event in a year that you chose a high deductible plan? Well, that happened to me twice. And while it wasn't the end of the world, it did completely F up my plans to retire with hundreds of thousands of dollars in my HSA account. Let me explain. I graduated from college, landed myself a full-time job with benefits, and found myself choosing a high deductible health plan at the age of 22. And 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. I ended up having to pay a shit ton of money out of pocket for doctor's visits, the hospital stay, anesthesiologist bill. The bill's literally just coming, y'all. My husband and I were married at the time, and I believe our joint deductible was around $4,000 or $5,000. Way more money than we even had in our HSA at that point. And ended up being a very high percentage of our annual income that year because, in case you didn't know, 22-year-olds do not make a lot of money. 2 years later, we landed ourselves in the exact same position, and we ended up using a good chunk of the money in our HSA accounts for the second baby. After that, we kind of gave up on our HSA dreams. We switched over to normal healthcare plans with lower deductibles. So it's a bit of a gamble when opting for a high deductible plan. Just be sure to think over your options and make sure you have extra cash set aside to cover medical expenses if you do decide to opt for the high deductible plan. And if you are planning on utilizing the investing option, please, for the love of God, make sure you actually log into your account and choose your investments. I have seen so many people get burned by just assuming their money would automatically be invested when they signed up to put money in their account every month. And years later, they realized that that money was just building up in cash and it never actually got invested. So they lost out on years of compound growth. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you haven't already, please be sure to rate and review this podcast wherever you would listen and subscribe to Rich Girl's Guide on YouTube. I will have a brand new episode out for you next Monday, so stay tuned. Till then, have an incredible and productive week. Later, Rich Girls.